Well, I'm here with Tim Follett of StructureFlow at Legal Innovators, California. Tim, would you mind introducing yourselves to our listeners?
Yeah, sure. I am Tim Follett. I'm the founder and the CEO of StructureFlow. I was a former corporate attorney practicing for about 10 years doing transactional work in London.
I believe it's Slaughter and May, right?
That's
where
correct.
that's where you were. I remember actually seeing you at a small event there when I heard your story at the time, and I believe that at the time you mentioned that you spent a lot of late nights working on PowerPoint, and that sparked your idea about StructureFlow. Can you tell us a little bit more about the product, how it came to be, and really where it's heading?
Yeah, sure. So I was doing a lot of highly structured, complex transactional work, M&A and restructurings, and you had to have a picture in order to be able to work out what was going on in the deal. And so we were messing around, pen and paper, PowerPoint, putting these diagrams together, and it was often late at night, and you were stressed, you had to get the work product out, and yet you were messing around, pulling lines and boxes around, and it was infuriating. So I thought there had to be a better way of doing this.
And I assume that at the time you knew that this is likely a common procedure by others in the industry. Was there anything that really allowed you to make that first leap of faith into building that product? You know, moving away from corporate law, it's a big step. What was the turning point that made you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I was messing around with some designs, and I was showing them to people within the firm, getting colleagues to look at it, asking the question, do you find this as deeply frustrating as I do? And a huge amount of the work that you're doing as a lawyer, actually you can't do unless you're drawing these pictures, because it's like highly structured and you have to be precise and you need to understand, how everything fits together. And so I started to get some positive feedback, and then what starts as a hobby becomes an obsession, and you start talking to people, you show them stuff, and they're like, oh, and then you go to your friends who are able to start building prototypes, and you then start showing those to people, and then it becomes more serious, and then you're like, oh, if I don't do this, someone else is going to do this, and there's this opportunity, and you start feeling compelled to do it. So that was my story. That's how I got into doing this.
And the word of town over the last couple of years is AI, and AI has found its way into StructureFlow as well. Can you tell our viewers what they can expect with now the AI enhanced version of StructureFlow?
Yeah, so AI is just a way of speeding things up for us, and what we're fundamentally doing when humans create diagrams, they are manually visualizing information, and they're translating written text or structured data into visual language. And all of the LLM technology that's come about over the last few years effectively is able to do that translation for you. And that's the really amazing thing, is that the timing's been great, because now we've got this technology that is generally available that's great at translating written language into something else, into data that you can then visualize, and we can do it vice versa as well. Then you've got the co-pilot stuff, layering in the AI within the application so that it can do things for you within the application itself. So those are the two main things, translation and co-pilot.
So as far as I understand, AI is very much a collaborator on the system. Someone that is just getting to grips with that system can essentially put instructions forward, and now the AI assistant within StructureFlow can then help them visualize things in the best possible way.
Absolutely, yeah, because the application is there to get jobs to be done. So we've got a very clear set of use cases. We know what people want to use the application for. It's creating certain types of visual content that go into certain types of work product. And so what the AI can do is help you do those jobs.
And in terms of go-to-market penetration on your side, you're a British company, but you've been very successful here in the United States. Where do you see a big push in terms of usability across across the country here?
Yeah, so I mean, the US is super, super important, and we've been lucky because speaking to so many other SaaS companies out there, you know, how do you get into the US from the UK? How do you make that bridge? It's often really hard, and you have to have multiple goes at it. But in our world, in legal technology, I think because it's quite mid-Atlantic, it happened very, very easily. You know, we started selling into the US early doors. Now the majority of our revenue comes from the US. And so for us, the US is a really big area of focus. And we're just really skimming the surface at the moment in terms of what's possible over here.
And of course, M&A is a big part of what the system is being used for. Do you see a higher utilization because there is more M&A happening here in comparative to, let's say, the UK?
I mean, there's a huge amount of corporate transactional activity that's happening over here, definitely. Is there more here than there is in the UK? I mean, just the sheer scale of this place, you know, yes, by volume, there is a lot going on over here. Is it proportionately more or not? I don't know. But certainly the software is being used not just in transactional teams. We are also getting a lot of use in the disputes and litigation sides of the firms that we sell into, and increasingly into the corporate market, where you've got corporates that are mapping their complex legal structure, and they're using the software for that purpose as opposed to doing, you know, transactional work.
And was that by design, or did you kind of notice that some of your users are starting to play around the functionalities of the product in relation to some of the litigation cases that they were working on, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, it's been quite organic.
Yeah.
It has been very organic in the sense of, you know, we're lucky in a way because the general proposition is if you're using PowerPoint right now, or Visio, or Lucidchart, or any other general diagramming software, if you're using that within your organization right now, to create structure charts or flow charts or timelines, don't. Use StructureFlow because it's going to be far more efficient, far faster. Quality of life is going to be far better for the people that are creating this. So it can be used in a very wide range of different scenarios. That's a benefit, but it's also a challenge at times as well.
And who are often the users and who are the end beneficiaries? Because with a lot of technology that is in the market right now, you would often assist more junior members of those legal teams,
Sure.
do things quicker and do things better. But then obviously then the more senior team benefits from it. What's the case with your product?
Yeah, we have a real mix. We actually have a lot of senior people using our software because it's a software for thinking visually. So when you're dealing with complex, highly structured matters where you've got tax partners and restructuring and banking partners having to think through what's this structure of the deal going to look like, they're using StructureFlow. But then we've also got a huge amount of people that are using it more at the junior end, junior lawyers, PAs, EAs, document production, all of that stuff as well. Again, it's really, you know, who's using PowerPoint at the moment in their workflows? What are they using it for? If they're using PowerPoint, general diagramming software, don't. Use StructureFlow, and then we can layer in and help those people.
And your expansion into North America also involved an acquisition. So you guys acquired BlueJ Diagramming. What's your strategic vision for StructureFlow over the next few years? Do you envision other possible acquisitions, or are you more likely to focus on further building the product yourself?
Yeah, I mean, organic growth is obviously a priority. So being able to grow, to build and to grow organically is a priority. The BlueJ acquisition was really interesting. Strategically, it made a lot of sense. They are a partner now of ours. We're working together because we've taken their book of customers and we're growing that book together. We're trying to work on how we can evolve the product so that it is increasingly going to work for the accounting and the tax folks as well. And that's really nice at the moment. The question then is, where do we go from here? And there are a lot of adjacent areas in this space. So it's whetted my appetite, and we're seeing a lot of benefit out of that acquisition.
And that means that really you're going beyond legal into other professional services with the product. Do you envision this to be just as important part of the go-to-market strategy for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, so the first step was go beyond PowerPoint. So me, late at night at Slaughter and May, pulling my hair out, trying to do diagrams, right? There's got to be a better way. Second piece is go beyond diagramming. So you should be able to take data, you should be able to automate the visualization of it so that people don't have to diagram anymore. Diagramming should be dead. People shouldn't be doing it. Expensive, stressed out professionals shouldn't be doing it. And then the piece is then, well, this is software not just for lawyers, but it has broader application. It's for the professional services industry more generally. And there's obviously different organizations within that world that we are now increasingly selling into.
Fantastic. And you mentioned data. So both law firms and corporate teams become more data-driven. And we hear a lot of that being mentioned at some of our panels and some of our presentations. How do you see visual tools like StructureFlow changing the way that legal advice is delivered and understood by customers?
Yeah, transformative impact. And clients don't want to be getting long, lengthy documents from their advisors anymore. They don't want 20-page briefs explaining long, complex technical stuff to them. They want to eyeball stuff. They want to get a document, look at it, and then go, right, okay, I've got that, I've understood it. I can then explain that to someone else. So visual content is increasingly critical in the way that work product is delivered and the services are delivered. I think more broadly, what we're going to start seeing in an ever-increasing data-driven world of technology is that there's this question around what's the interface. And if you look at the AI platforms that are coming out now, they are very text-based. A lot of the UI that you see in legal tech stacks is very text-based, very tabular, very text-based. And I think there is a question around, how does it become more intuitive? How does it become easier to navigate? How do people engage with this information more easily? And that's where I think there is an opportunity for StructureFlow to layer into that tech stack and to start visualizing what's going on in that tech stack and provide a different way, an alternative way for people to engage with the information.
We had a product demonstration and a very different overall presentation by you guys here at the conference, and I saw quite a few people coming up to you afterwards and asking you questions. Which was the most interesting question that you received at this conference?
Oh, that's a great question. You're putting me on the spot here slightly. I think the best question I got was around the ability for StructureFlow to facilitate interaction between human beings and machines. So I had someone ask me a question around, why is it that diagrams are so important to people? And my view is that diagrams are ways that human beings like to understand and work with complex information. It goes back to the very start of humanity, cave paintings, trying to organize ourselves. And I think there's something here where machines, they don't need diagrams, right? All of your last question about data, machines, they just need the data. It doesn't matter what the data looks like, because the machine brain can just process the data, but the human brain can't. And I think that's where, if you can get machines and humans talking to each other through diagrams, something really special can start to happen. That's the interface point. That's why I think interfaces are so important, visual interfaces, because it's an interface for the human to talk to the machine and vice versa.
Do you think that the shortening of our attention span based on kind of short-term evolution in general is also contributing to the fact that people require diagrams and also visual presentation to comprehend things at a quicker pace? Overall, do you think that's contributing to people wanting to use your product?
Yeah.
As much as far-fetched as it might sound?
Yeah, I mean, you guys do a huge amount on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, we do.
And you're scrolling, you're trying to think about how do you capture someone's attention with the posts, and then you've got people that are scrolling through, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram. I mean, that is conditioning us. We are conditioned by that to have shorter attention spans. And so when you are in the workplace, and lawyers love to deal with long, complex things, but you try and explain that to someone who is used to scrolling through LinkedIn or Instagram, and you're asking them to invest 5-10 minutes of their time to read something that's complex, you may be asking too much of them.
Do you think that using tools like StructureFlow will also make some of those complex tasks and transactions easier to understand by the end customer of those legal services?
100%. I mean, we've got lots of evidence to suggest this, where you've got clients of firms who have said to the firm, this is actually, now you've given me a picture of what this deal looks like, this is actually the first time I've really understood what you're doing. And the end clients of these firms, they're not lawyers. That's the thing that I think law firms that realize this, they are going to gain competitive advantage, because if they can start using visual content more and more in their work product, it's going to differentiate themselves and it's going to endear them to their clients.
So in a sense, this is not just useful for the internal purposes, it also helps those lawyers deliver a better service and potentially even enhance their business development function, because they become more accessible
Yes.
to customers in comparison to some of the more traditional players.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, Tim, looking ahead, where do you see the role of visual tools like StructureFlow evolving within the legal industry over the next 5 years?
I think what you're seeing now is the evolution of a new category of software in the stack. And there is this visualization layer, which is a really important critical layer that up until now is missing. And if you think back to like diagramming, the history of diagramming, it's people, I think, trying to bring information together from different places and be able to see how it all fits together and create that kind of ability to just very quickly look at something and then go, all right, yep, that's what that is, right? Well, apply that to the tech stack of like 5 years' time, right? Different tools that do different things, different data sets. You can create an interface that allows you to pull information from those different places, put it into one place, see how it all fits together. But critically, because it's now digital, it's dynamic. So the visualization is driven from the data. It can update in real time. It can be synced with the data, etc. So I think what we're seeing is the evolution of a new category of software.
So whoever is listening to this, Tim will be tagged in the post. So please connect with him. If you'd like to explore how you can use StructureFlow in your legal practice. Thank you very much.